Hello! Today we are going to review the difference between the past perfect tense and the past perfect progressive or past perfect continuous tense. We'll talk about the structure, when to use the two, how they are different from each other, and most importantly, we will do a maybe little difficult quiz at the end. So I'd like to see you follow me all the way to the end. And remember, you could easily go watch a shorter video about this. Yeah, no problem. But that video is not going to include you in the lesson. So every Thursday at 2 o'clock Central Time, I have live lessons right here with you. So come on, let's get started. I am really looking forward to today's class. Here we go. First up, review. Okay, when do you use the past perfect tense? For the past few weeks, we've been talking about the past perfect tense. Okay, now, if you are not watching this live, as we go through this lesson, I will ask you many questions. If you do not know right away, pause the video and then think, okay, what is my answer? Say it out loud to practice speaking, and then press play and continue and see if you are correct, okay? So if I ask you a question and the video is not live, pause, answer the question, okay? Really important. This is the best way for you to learn, all right? So back to this question, when do you use the past perfect tense? Maybe you have no idea, okay? But simply enough, the past perfect tense is used when we have two actions in the past, and usually in one sentence, right? There's two completed actions. And someone is here and is answering the question for me. I love that. Okay. Yes, it shall. The work that happened in the past, but it's happening in the present too. Almost there, almost there. So it's two things that happened in the past, right? What you were thinking of, something that happened in the past but has a relationship with the present, that's the present perfect tense, okay? The present perfect. But the past perfect, as I said, two things happening in the past. So let's see. Let's do maybe a haircut and a party, right? First you get a haircut, then you go to a party. So let's say those things happened in the past. We can say, for the past perfect, I had gotten a haircut, the first action, before I went to the party. Second action, go to the party, past tense, okay? So we're not going to talk too much about that now. This is just quick review, okay? But let us look now, going back to past continuous, right? Past continuous. Now this is not perfect, just continuous. What is the structure of past continuous? Okay, the structure of past continuous. We'd have subject plus blah, 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 plus blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, yes, a shall in there, had been plus ing. That's close. This is just regular, not perfect, right? So the answer is subject plus was or were plus present participle. What's the present participle? You've probably heard past participle, but have you heard present participle? This is just a grammar term. It just means the verb plus ing, right? Easy peasy. That's what it is right there. Verb plus ing. Okay, let's continue. Here's an example, right? He was reading a book. Okay, he was reading a book. So we got the was and then the present participle. Okay, easy, no problem. Now, let's put the perfect in there, the past perfect. All right, so remember that the perfect tense always has have or some form of it. Okay, and actually, Ashel, you have already written it, okay, in the chat. So good job there. Had been. So when we're looking at perfect tense, there's present perfect tense, past perfect tense, future perfect tense. So whatever the present, past, future, that is always telling us what the have will look like. So in the present perfect, have has. In the past perfect, had. In the future perfect, will have. Easy. She had been reading a book. Yes, that is a correct example of a sentence here. In this case, he had been reading a book. Look at that. Nailed it. Good, 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 good. So very, very similar. But now let's talk about when to use the past perfect continuous, because this is just as important, if not more important, than knowing the structure. Okay, so when do we use it? Hopefully this helps. This is when we have two completed activities here, the first completed activity and the second completed activity. So I just talked about that when we were talking about the past perfect, right? Where the first part of the sentence, you will make it a past perfect part, and the second part will be past simple. But let's look at this here, okay? So I'll read this. You focus on the pronunciation, okay? You can read it too. Used to emphasize the duration or ongoing nature of an action that continued up until another point, another action or point in the past. Okay, as you can see here. So this is all about, when we talk about the continuous tense, the emphasis is always on the continuation, continuous duration. So usually when we're using continuous tenses in the perfect, we use for, since, and how long, okay, to emphasize time. For example, the movie had been playing. Okay, so you see that past perfect continuous for 30 minutes. Okay, there's our time expression. When, that's our time word, we arrived at the cinema. Two actions happening in the past. The question is, what happened first here? Okay, the movie had been playing for 30 minutes, or we arrived at the cinema. Okay, what happened first? What happened second? This is important to know. Okay, you can take a guess here or write it down. Here, I'm going to just show you. So first, the movie was played for 30 minutes. All right, then we arrived. So a little late for the movie, but you'll survive, I guess. Okay, so this is the main focus of it. Very similar to past perfect. So let's look at the differences between them. All right. So as you notice here, I put past perfect continuous because sometimes it's past perfect, sometimes it's past perfect continuous. Sometimes you can use both and there's no problem. So, yay. Let me read this. Both, be careful with the TH, both are used to state an activity that happens before another activity. Okay. Past simple is used to state, not estate, but state the second activity. All right. Sure, we know that. Now, first things first, past perfect focuses on the completion of the activity. It's done. We're not continuing it anymore. For example, okay, he had read, so had read, that's the first action. He had read the book before, that's our time word, we began the semester. All right. He had read the book, which means we're focusing on the fact that he finished reading the book. The book is done, then the semester starts at school. Okay. Past perfect continuous focuses on the ongoing nature or the duration of an action, often using time words. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Yes, time words are our best friends. So this is the same thing, more or less. He had been reading the book for 2 weeks before we began the semester. Okay, so we have for 2 weeks. So this is not saying that he finished the book, right? He's still reading it, right? There's 2 weeks reading, school, reading. So it's like he's still reading the book, although he started reading it 2 weeks ago before the semester. Okay. Any questions? If you have any questions to this moment, write it in the chat. But now we are going to do a difficult quiz. The more tenses we learn, the more difficult this quiz becomes, okay? But which quiz or which tense is it going to be? Alrighty. Number 1, she blah 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 work here for 10 years before she got promoted. Which is it? Da, 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 da. A, B, C, D, E, or F? Remember, you're looking for time words, right? That'll give you your answer. Okay, so put it in the chat what you think it is. Okay, is it A, B, C, D, E, or F? Dum, dum, dum. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is E, had been working. Yes, congratulations, Ashel. You got it right. Amazing. Okay, but the question is why? Okay, because whenever you do grammar, writing, speaking, whatever, I don't want you to just be like, man, it's like this. I think, no, there's a reason. There has to be a reason why. Okay. And that's what I want to teach you in these classes and in all my videos. Okay. So, first of all, this tense had been working, right? It is, what tense is it? What tense is it? We are just talking about it, so this is a little too easy. But yeah, it is the past perfect continuous, okay? And we have an answer here that before she is talking about the past perfect continuous. Yes, let's look at it here, okay? We're focusing on ongoing actions in the past. All right, we have this for 10 years, 4 plus a period of time. That's like bing, 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 continuous tense, bing, 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 right? Perfect tense is both perfect and perfect continuous. Okay, and then yes, you have our time word before. Good. Okay, so this is something that's still happening in her life, or was still happening at that time. Okay. Next one. All right. By next year, they blah, blah, blah finish the project. Okay. By next year, they blah, blah, blah finish the project. What is the answer? A, B, C, or D, or E, or F? Okay. Remember, we look at our time clause. Clause just means group of words, right, to figure out our answer. So I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bum, bum, bum. All right, the answer is yes, D. D, D, D. Okay. Why is it D though? Because we have other answers, right, that you might think it is, but our time word here is, our time clause, our expression is by next year. That's the future, okay? Right now it's 2025, next year, 2026. Oh man. Whew, I feel like I'm getting old. So we are talking about the future here. And we have covered the future perfect like a month ago. Okay. So by next year, they will have finished. Okay. Future perfect. Oh, I put future perfect continuous. That is wrong. It's just future perfect. All right. We use future perfect for deadlines, expectations, right? So their goal maybe is by next year, the project will be done, right? Or at least that's what they think. That's what they expect will happen. Okay. So by next year, they will have finished the project. Future perfect, not continuous. All right. Continuing on. All right. Next one here. I blah, blah, blah clean the house since this morning. Okay. I blah, blah, blah cleaned the house since this morning. Was cleaning, had cleaned, am cleaning, have been cleaning, will have cleaned. What's the answer there? Now think, where's our time words, our time expressions? Okay. We have the answer. Let's see. Our answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. D it is. That is right. D, have been cleaning. Good job in the chats. Very nice. Okay. So, have been cleaning, but why? Okay. This is present perfect continuous. But why is it present perfect continuous? Why? We have certain time words here. All right, and what are those time words telling us? Okay, our time words are since this morning. Okay, so yeah, that's the important part here. The present perfect continuous talks about an ongoing action, right? Since this morning. You're right. Yes, good job in the chat, guys. You're getting it. Since this morning is our time. Started in the past, it's continuing now. All right, next question. When we arrived, she already eat lunch. This one has already in it. Interesting. Keep in mind that it's not arrived, right? Not arrived, it's arrived. That's a hard one. Arrived with a D sound at the end. Arrived. Okay. Let's see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's move on. Here we have. Okay. B. Good job in the chats. Nice work, Ashal. Yes. When we arrived, she had already eaten lunch. Why is this the past perfect? Remember, we talked about at the beginning of this class when to use the past perfect. Right here, we have our two actions here. Okay, we have when we arrived, so that's arriving, right? This, we arrived, and then we also have finish eating lunch, right? Already eaten lunch. Yeah, this is confusing for sure. Okay, and I made a mistake here too. I put past perfect continuous, but it's not continuous. It's just past perfect. Sorry about that again. So she had already eaten, which emphasizes, they already emphasizes something finished. So two finished actions in the past. She ate lunch, she finished eating lunch, and then then we started, then we arrived. Okay. Yes. And a good question in the chat here is, why is option D incorrect? And remember, had already been eating, that is present perfect continuous. That's what, or past perfect continuous, what this says. Although that is wrong. That is not our answer, because remember that past perfect continuous, all the continuous tenses focus on an action that is ongoing, still happening or continuing at that moment, right? So with the word already, that is more, it's not ongoing, it's finished, right? If so, past perfect is more about finished actions, right? Past perfect continuous, ongoing actions, duration. Okay, I hope I explained that okay. It definitely is confusing, but it's the already in the chat that makes this, or the already in the sentence that makes this important, makes this the right answer. Okay, next one. They blah 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 wait for the train when it started to rain. Okay. They blah 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 wait for the train when it started to rain. Had waited, were waiting, have waited, had been waiting, are waiting, wait. A quick note on pronunciation. When there are three final sounds that the final ed can make. You can make a d, which a d sound, or a t sound, or another syllable, id. Many people often just say the ed at the end, adding an id. For example, arrived, cleaned, things like that, finished. However, there's specific rules about when to use each one. And just to keep things short, you only use the extra id, the extra syllable, if your word ends with ted, or ded. Okay. So in this case, waited, started, ended, right? Those words end with id, tid, or did. But the other ones, if it doesn't have TED or DED, then do not add an extra sound. Okay? All right. So, am I getting an answer for this one? Is it A, B, C, D, E, or F? I'm going to give 5 seconds. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right, the answer is B this time. We're waiting. Interesting. So we have 4 here. When you think, oh, teacher, time word is 4, but this is for the train. So it's not a duration of time, like 4 or 10 minutes. It's 4 plus an object. So that's not our thing here. Our time word here is when it started. Okay, when, and then plus the past simple there. So you use the past continuous, remember, as it says in the explanation, action in progress at a moment in the past. All right, so normally when you have two things and one thing interrupts the other thing, that is where we get a combination of the past continuous, so was, were plus ing, and the past simple, right? They were waiting, that's the action in progress, and the thing that interrupts them is the rain. So we put that in past simple, but that's another lesson. Okay, all right, let's keep going. The next one. Okay, I never see such a beautiful painting. Okay, I never see such a beautiful painting. What is our answer? A, B, C, D, E, R, F. Okay, I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bang. All right, the answer is have never seen. Why is it have never seen? Good job, Michelle. Yes, it is E. Why is it I have never seen? Or you could do the short form, I with apostrophe VE. I've never seen. Okay. How do we know this is the past or the present perfect tense? Okay. There has to be a reason, no guessing. All right. So here's the one. I love this reason. For the present perfect, we use it with experiences. It's a really easy definition to know. If you're talking about some experience that you've had in the past, something you've done, then present perfect, okay? So in their life, they have never seen a beautiful painting, well, one that's so beautiful as this. I have never seen. Good. All right, let's continue here. What is this one? We blah, blah, blah live in Mexico since 2019. Notice how I pronounce that? 2019. You can say 2019, but it's more natural in Canadian and American English to just say 2019. Okay. So what's the answer here? We have a D in the chat, and that's correct. Yes, have been living. We have been living in Mexico since 2019. That is the story of me and my husband. He is Mexican, I'm Canadian. We got married in December 2019, and I've been here ever since with him. Okay, have been living. How do we know that this is the answer? What's our reason? What is our reason that it's present perfect continuous? Yes, that's right in the chat, because again, since is coming. Yes. So we have our since plus our specific start date. Now you can say we have lived in Mexico since 2019. That is totally fine, right? Remember, that's present perfect. That's present perfect, and it focuses more on a completed activity, like, yay, good for us. We've lived here 5 years. That's amazing. But remember that continuous action is ongoing. It's still happening. The emphasis is on the continuation. So have been living or have lived, both are okay there. All right, good. Next one. She not finish her essay yet. She not finish her essay yet. Be careful of the pronunciation of that word yet. Yet. Okay. So has not finished, is not finishing, had not finished, will not finish, has not been finishing, did not finish. What is our answer? A, B, C, D, E, or F? And Y, of course. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Has not finished. Yes, A. Good job, Shal. Very nice. So why? Well, I have it here already. Our word is yet. Our time word is yet. Okay. It's something that is related. Now she's doing it, it's happening, but it's related to the present. All right. It's an incomplete action up until now. Has not finished. All right. Next one. By the time I arrived, blah, 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 he, blah, blah, blah. By the time I arrived, he, blah, blah, blah. What is our answer? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. There we have it. Okay. Had left be. This is the past perfect tense, right? It's not the past perfect continuous because this is focusing on a completed action. Our time word there, by the time. That's our time expression that we use in actually both the past perfect and the future perfect. But you'll see here that this I arrived, that's past simple. So we know this is two actions in the past. Okay. First, he left. Then I arrived. Okay. Finished actions. All right. Oh, going back here. Incomplete action till now. All right. Let's do this here. He, blah, 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 not sleep well because of stress. Okay. He, blah, 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 not sleep well because of stress. Not sleep well lately. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is D. Whew, that's long. He has not been sleeping lately. He has not been sleeping well lately because of stress. Okay. So the reason this is our answer here, why is it? It's past perfect continuous, right? We have an ongoing negative state. In this case, it's negative, affecting the present, right? It started in the past and continued till now. That word lately just means in the recent past. And for everything in the recent past, we use the perfect continuous. Okay, and that is the end of our quiz. Super good job to you who were here live and participating. In the next week, we're going to do something really similar based on the future instead of the past. Future perfect and future perfect continuous. Remember, I do this every week. If you have any questions whatsoever, write them down in the chat, okay? And or in the comments below. Thank you for watching and learning English with Meghan. Remember, this will only be up for 1 week, so make sure to watch it all by the end of next week and share it with your friends. And if this helped you, like, comment, and subscribe because that helps the algorithm, which helps this lesson get out to other people who are struggling with their English. Okay? Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.